Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about a brand new album by a band that I think quite a lot of people are, are in a bit of a debate about. But I think it sort of helps that I've been a fan of the band, but I haven't really kind of like indulged in this kind of melodrama of like who's left and who's in the band and whatever. Morbid Angel have returned with their first album in 6 years, Kingdoms Disdained. First of all, let's get the lineup out of the way. So Steve Tucker is on bass and vocals, Trey Azagdoth, I think that's how you say it, is on guitars, and Scott Fuller is on drums. Morbid Angel, I know, are kind of like responsible for beginning this whole, the whole death metal movement basically, especially with Altars of Madness. And Blessed Are the Sick, as well as Covenant. To kind of make sure that this review is fairly informed, I gave all those three a fairly good listen alongside Gateways to Annihilation. It's not kind of like in the vein of the early Morbid Angel, but more in the kind of like mid-tempo grooves. So for example, Piles of Little Arms is the album's opener, and it starts off with this. Sometimes the guitar and the drums work cohesively, and then sometimes they kind of go off and do their own thing. In terms of like atmosphere, it's a very dark album. So a great example of this weight behind the riffs would be in the likes of Garden of Disdain, where it's just like. So there's a lot of, the guitar works in synchronization with the drums, and it creates this kind of weight behind the sound, and it almost feels as though like Morbid Angel are like pushing the listener off, which I think is really interesting. I think it's partly due to Eric Rutan producing the record that it's just like, and it almost flattens you as a listener. I mean, there's a small part of me which wants to say that it was even a bit of a hard listen, but a hard listen in the likes of like Immolation. So there's a lot of dissonance going on in the record. It's not kind of like it's not a happy record. But for example, in DEAD, there's this section with this massive bend, and it's just like, and it's that weight behind it which I think I really, really loved. But there are also some amazing guitar solos from Trey Azagdoth. Right at the end of The Righteous Voice, there's this kind of like, and it's got that kind of characteristic pinch harmonic, but it just sounds as though you're slipping into the underworld. But Morbid Angel have this kind of way of bringing you into this world. But I would say the biggest thing about the album is that there's this serious amount of groove, and The Pillars Crumbling, for example, has this sort of like, and it's got that mid-pace groove, but then right at the end of the song there's a bit where it's like, and it's got that melody that I think you associate Azagdoth's guitar work. I mean, if you really think about it, he's a very unique guitar player. I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be fans who are kind of like, oh, there's no David Vincent, it's not the same, and all this sort of stuff, but like, there are plenty of bands like that. If you think of it, it's not going to be the same band. It's going to have the name and the connotations, but it's not exactly the same people. So it's not going to be the same sound. Like the drums aren't just a one-trick pony. There's one track, Declaring New Law, where it's just like dun 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 dun, and then it goes into this sort of offbeat, like so it's like do da 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 do da da do da da, and it's got this really weird kind of like swagger to it, really, but it's odd. I think, especially the album artwork kind of shows what this kind of monster would be, definitely. A lot of hopelessness, a lot of devoid happiness, the usual stuff with metal. But for that reason, I'm going to give it 4 skulls, because I think that the sheer weight behind the riffs is a real selling point for me. And man, we've had some seriously good death metal this year. So I think that Kingdoms Disdained is a great addition to the Morbid Angel catalogue. If you like this video, please make sure that you give me a like and subscribe, and yeah, leave a comment, and thanks again for all my subscribers, and I will see you on the next video.